Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to our podcast today. These podcasts are brought to you in part by our sponsors, who really truly are what make these podcasts possible every week. O'Fallon Nutrition is a company that I've worked with for over 15 years. They're independently owned and operated, located here in O'Fallon, Missouri, right off of Highway K and Mexico Road. I call this place the Whole Foods of St. Charles County, but even if you are not located on this side of the river, it is still worth the drive. I can remember working all the way down at Powerhouse and still sending people out to O'Fallon Nutrition for their supplements. They are more than a supplement company. You can get grass-fed beef, salad dressing, seasoning for your cooking, hair care products, makeup, deodorant, toothpaste, essential oils, and all the vitamins and minerals that you can think of. If you're looking for clean, whole food nutrition, as well as home care, house care, skincare products, O'Fallon Nutrition is your place. You can take a look at them at o'fallonnutrition.com, or if you'd like to have something shipped, if you're listening to me from outside of St. Louis, you can certainly have items shipped. I know they do free shipping if it's an order over $50, and the phone number is 636-240-5283. Again, it's o'fallonnutrition.com. As well as if preparing your food on a weekly basis is your primary excuse for why you're not able to stay on a good, clean eating program, which is something that I hear very regularly from my clients, I would ask you to please take the time to check out Pure Plates. It's pureplatesstl.com. They are a phenomenal place. We get our food from there during the week. They deliver to our Integrity location. They will deliver to your house. They also are just available for pickup. You can go to their Chesterfield location or their Kirkwood location and just pick up meals for the day, as well as just having them delivered right to your door. So if preparing your food is your main excuse for why you cannot stay on a healthy eating program, then I would suggest just stop by Pure Plates. Just try it. If you're trying to lower your blood pressure, you're trying to lower your cholesterol, you're trying to get your blood sugar down, try to do Pure Plates meals for a week and just see how different you feel. These are organic meals. They are gluten-free. If you need them to be, they can be dairy-free. They are soy-free. You're not taking any processed sugars or meat-curing agents or preservatives. They really, truly believe in nutrient-dense meals that are just whole food nutrition. And I've had my clients, or I've made recommendations for my clients for years at Pure Plates. It's pureplatesstl.com, or you can call them to ask questions at 636-778-3555. Again, remembering that they have a location in Chesterfield as well as in Kirkwood that you can just run by and pick up a meal today. Everyone always asks me where I get my meat from, and given that I really eat meat on a daily basis, typically beef primarily, my meat is very important to me. I have an autoimmune condition and I want grain-free, corn-free meat, and I just haven't found the confidence in stores in knowing that I'm getting 100% grass-fed, grass-finished beef. And I have searched and searched and searched for the right farm, and I have found the farm. It's fedfromthefarm.com, fed, F-E-D, from thefarm.com. These farmers are amazing. It's a family. They're here in Missouri, and they have the desire, just like I do, to see people well and to see people healthy, and they put a lot into what they do. It's such a wonderful family to support. They do offer 100% grass-finished, grass-fed, meaning that's it. A beef, and I get my ribeyes, I get my ground beef, my ground sirloin, I get my chuck roast. I mean, they basically have everything. They even have awesome jerky, but they also have eggs, they have chickens, and they have turkey. I'm planning on getting a turkey for Thanksgiving, and if you'd like lamb, they have that as well. But if you are in need of good quality grass-fed, grass-finished beef, or quality eggs, chicken, turkey, don't just settle for what you're getting at the local store. to go out on the internet and check out Fed from the Farm. That you can arrange a pickup or you can have it delivered to your home. And I can guarantee you're going to taste the difference. For me, my health actually depends on it. So I really thank God to have found such a great farmer. Fedfromthefarm.com. I hope it blesses you.
Welcome to Faith, Fuel, and Fitness, the Integrity Way, with your hosts, John and Debbie Morris from Integrity Training Systems.
Hey everybody, this is John and Debbie Morris of Integrity Training Systems on Real Talk 93.3. Always like to start our show by talking to you about what it means to be a warrior, and that warrior is a brave or experienced soldier or fighter. And if you've been with me before, you know that I like to point out the ors, because you don't have to be brave and you don't have to be a soldier in the military. You can just be an experienced fighter. And if you've ever been through anything that didn't happen easy, then you have had an experience and you have fought because you've had to overcome something. Why is this important? Well, it's important because you get to consider yourself a warrior, and that means you can have the warrior mentality. And all the warrior mentality is not giving up. It means that no matter what you press into, no matter what you have to take on, that you just choose to stay in that fight. And last week we had our daughter on because we just thought it was important for people to understand that this can actually start at any age. You know, you can take on these battles as a kid, you can take on these battles as an adult. But one thing that I really wanted to make clear last week is that sometimes our children, not even sometimes, our children in general need our assistance. So sometimes you have to go to battle and you have to go to war, if for nothing else, just to make your children better, to help your children grow into who they're supposed to be. Use them as the example. Use them potentially even as your why. If you can't get yourself to lock in on something, then maybe you need to find something that's a little bit more important to work toward. And that's something that I recently took on. With my back issues, is I was told by a back doctor specialist to never do something like jujitsu again, you know, and it really kind of like hit me kind of hard. But what I recognized is I'm not hung up on not being able to do jujitsu. I was actually hung up on being told that I can't do something. But ultimately I was able to get over it quickly because I thought, you know what, I just want to be able to walk my daughter down the aisle. You know, she's only 13, but when that happens, I want to be there for that. I want to be able to hang out and play with her children, whenever that may be, 45 years from now. That's what I tell her, is she can start dating in 45 years. But, it's like, that's my goal. That's my why. And acknowledging that those types of things are going to require work now helps me to stay grounded in why I have to do what I have to do. If you're just living day by day, or let me just get through tomorrow, or this another Monday, I'll get started next week, or, and you're looping, like, are you considering what your health will be like in the future if you don't start doing these things now?
Absolutely. I think that, when we calculate what it takes to be a warrior, I think we often underestimate how many times during our day we are actually behaving like a warrior. And I think we might be weak because we've made some mistakes, or
right.
Maybe we're not as strong as what we should be because of some choices. But I really think just discount the amount of time that we really do actually function like a warrior. And I know recently for me, I've never really had an issue with anxiety, and my husband has, and a number of my clients have. And so it was a part of my life that I didn't really feel I could have an ultimate level of compassion for.
Right.
I've had sickness in my immune system. I've had structural issues. I've had nervous system issues. I've had so many things. So when I meet with people, blood sugar issues, all kinds of things, I could really relate, to their situations because I've been there and I could advise on it. But with brain health issues, it just was something that I just truly have never really experienced before. And although I did everything I could to try to help people balance their brain with food and with drink, I never really truly understood what that felt like internally. And I am dealing with a bulging disc in my neck, which has made it to where sleeping is very challenging. I sleep for maybe an hour, maybe sleep for 2 hours. I'm working with a new doctor that's helping me
tremendously for the first time in 2 years. But I've had some situations where I'll wake up and I'm compressing something. And so I ultimately don't have proper blood flow. And in all this lack of sleep, I've really declined my cortisol levels. So my doctor suggested a glandular product for my adrenals. Just didn't think anything of it. I took it, felt like, sure, that makes perfect sense. And before I knew it, I had a couple days where I had a blood pressure of 158. And I'm just sitting in a chair doing absolutely nothing. And it was very scary. I've always had low blood pressure. So internally, I'm sitting in this chair just in almost a state of panic, even though I should be just sitting there watching TV. And for a moment, we were able to figure this out. We determined it was the glandular. We stopped taking it. My blood pressure is normal now. It was a very scary experience. But for a moment, I could feel what it would feel like inside someone who's dealing with anxiety on a regular basis. Our strongest battles, the most challenging things that we go through, God will use them. There won't be another person that will ever sit in front of me that will tell me about anxiety that I won't understand what they were going through. I'm better for the struggle. I will fight stronger for people now, having gone through the struggle. And I don't want the struggle. I don't want to continue to live in struggle. I don't want my body to continue. But in that circumstance, I can either choose to live in fear and wonder, is the blood pressure going to come back up? Am I going to be in anxiety? Am I going to be stuck in this situation? Or can I say, I have overcome this. I am blessed to have the wisdom and the knowledge to know what's going on. And now I do have some understanding of what that might feel like to have someone just sitting there inside their body and feeling so much angst and no ability to calm that. The only thing that I can say is, if I would have had caffeine in those moments, if I would have had sugar in those moments, if I would have had gluten in those moments where my blood pressure was surging, even though I was just sitting there doing absolutely nothing, I would have raised the blood pressure even more. Right. I would have accelerated the issue. I would have made myself even more panicked and more stressed and more anxious. And I just want someone to understand that maybe what you're eating and drinking is not everything. Maybe it's not the only reason that you have anxiety. Maybe there's a structural issue in your body. Maybe truly you have brain
chemical
damage.
Imbalance, yeah.
Chemical imbalances. Absolutely. But it's not helping it. It would only further it and make it worse.
Yeah, I mean, you might have a fire that never goes away, and maybe that's a fire that someone else doesn't understand because they don't have it, but it doesn't mean you should throw gasoline on it.
Absolutely.
And that's where people get confused. Is the brain is very, very smart. And what I mean by smart is the brain doesn't think, what I need is a Snickers bar. That might be what it tells you to get, but it's actually looking for something that hits it on a neurotransmitter level. Like it knows what surges that dopamine or serotonin or whatever it thinks it needs. The problem is it's smart enough to tell you what to go grab for what it thinks it needs. It's not smart enough to actually be your doctor. So when you think, what I need, or I feel like I want this, or man, I really got to grab this, or I do feel better for 2 minutes when I have this, what you don't realize is that your brain is actually not smart enough to regulate that for you. It's probably in some kind of weird survival mode, especially if you've even brought that stuff in even somewhat remotely recently, because it's going to be in this loop of like addiction. And to Deb's point, talking about like what you've been through, it's like I have had anxiety and depression more than I can even count. I mean, I deal with anxiety right now, and like she said, it's not that I want to deal with that, but what happens is I have learned to have a higher level of control on my anxiety so that even in my worst moments, I know they're going to pass quicker than they used to. And if you're someone that's dealing with something like that, I challenge you to find someone who's able to help you get to more of a baseline versus redlining all the time. And what's really neat about it is it really does allow me to help other people with that. And what you think might be your biggest disqualifier for helping someone, Ed Milet says this, is actually probably your qualification. So when I feel like, I shouldn't talk to anybody about getting over anxiety, I still have anxiety. Yes, but my anxiety used to be way worse. And so talking to someone about it may allow them to recognize my legitimate empathy and the fact that if I've started to overcome it, so can they. And I'm telling you right now, sometimes the fulfillment of assisting another person is actually something that you need to start feeling better.
The whole absolute foundation of what I do for a living and have done for 30 years stemmed from me becoming so sick that I almost died, and having to go from functional doctor to homeopathic doctor to naturopath doctor to traditional doctor, all the different testing, and really determining what was going on and recognizing that food was the biggest needle mover, the biggest catalyst to change in my body. And now I do what I do for a living, and I can absolutely relate to others.
Right.
For more information on a 6-month nutrition program with myself or a free personal fitness assessment with any of our personal trainers, take a look at integritytrainingsystems.com or give us a call at 636-299-2208. For gluten-free, dairy-free baked goods delivered to your door from my personal bakery, take a look at sophiesbakery.com. And for 100% grass-fed beef, the only meat that the Morris family will eat, take a look at fedfromthefarm.com.
Welcome back, everybody. John and Debbie Morris with Integrity Training Systems on Real Talk 93.3. Just got done talking to you about what it meant to be a warrior. And Debbie kind of ended that segment talking about how her near-death experience is what kind of stemmed and sent her into the path of what she does now for a living. Deb, you're in finance, right? That's what you did before that. Mm-hmm. So Deb was in finance and ultimately passed out in her driveway and got really sick after that. And that's what led to her eventually having to leave the financial world. I mean, she wasn't okay. She was dying. I mean, she, had hypothyroid and hyperthyroidism. She got down to being so light, under 100 pounds, she couldn't walk. And then she was also heavier, where her body wasn't regulating or controlling itself appropriately. And the thing is that she went through 22 different doctors, and finally the last doctor addressed her food, and that's ultimately what led to her recovery. And so she wanted to be able to do the same thing to go help other people. Well, I had the exact same situation. I was ultimately in law enforcement, which led to a heart attack. I was an alcoholic and a pill popper, and my heart attack kind of stemmed this concept that something has to give. And so I left law enforcement to now do what we do together, opening a gym, and I do the personal training, she does nutrition, because it's what corrected my body. I got into law enforcement to help people, and unfortunately, by the time we show up, things are already bad, and we're damage control versus really helping someone. And so in this line of work, I actually get to help people. And what helps me to help more people, what allows me to be able to assist people on the level I do, is I'm ate up. I've had anxiety. I've had depression. I know what that feels like to have your food related to that. I've broke my back. I've torn ligaments and tendons and injured this and injured that. And, I've had to overcome so much that it actually helps me. And the point that Debbie made, I'm not thankful for the pains and the aches and the issues and the problems, but I am thankful that what the devil meant for harm, God has turned around and used for good, because I have been able to help substantially more people than a singular person that my problems within myself evens out.
I think health is a ministry, and we have a small business group that I'm within, and one of the females messaged today, and she said, "I think I'm getting some new business for you guys. I just posted a simple post about how my protein coffee is helping me, and how my nutritionist helped me, and how my yoga classes are helping me, and how my trainer has helped me." And she didn't list any of our names on the post. She was just in general talking about how things have helped. But then there was 83 comments, and everybody wants to know, well, what coffee do you drink? And where do you go for yoga? And who is your trainer? And what nutritionist did you work with? And so she messaged us to say, I think I'm getting some new business for you guys. Well, in a business group, that is kind of what we're there to do, is to help each other grow and help each other expand. but health is legitimately a ministry, and it is a contagious sort of vibe or just feeling that people will get around you and they will look at you and they will see you and they will see you different. They'll see your energy as being different. They'll see, the shape of your body being healthier looking. It doesn't mean you have to look like a bodybuilder, because you don't. You just have to look healthy.
Just be well.
You have to look like you feel healthy. You have to look like your clothes fit you okay and that you're not miserable in them. You have to, look like life is good, even though there may be some difficulties, but yet life is still rolling good. And so they're going to see that in you, and they're going to want to know what's different. It's kind of like us desiring after the possibility for someone to see something so different in us that they come up and ask us, and we can tell them, oh, it's Jesus. But at the end of the day, health is that really unique way, and it's the way we work the Lord into our practice at Integrity. Is people want something different. They're searching for a brighter day. They're searching for hope. They're trying to stay anchored to something that is not sinking them into this pit of defeat. And when they come into our facility, they feel the light. They feel the light that's just piercing through the darkness that they are basically in before they walk in those doors. You think it sounds dramatic? You think it sounds a little bit overdone? It isn't. Ask anyone that has been there. They will tell you it is a completely different place from anywhere that they have ever been. In this particular location, we've been there for over 10 years now. I have watched Gold's Gym close down, the boxing gym 2 doors down closed down, the soccer players gym across the street closed down, the gym in Lake St. Louis where we initially started closed down, the gym down the street on Mexico Road, Anytime Fitness closed down. I could keep going on about all the gyms. The gym in Ladue closed down, Powerhouse Gym closed down. We're still standing, and the reason we're still standing is because we see it that way. We see it as a ministry. We're serving God in all that we do. Every person that walks in the door is a divine appointment. We're trusting him for every dollar. We're trusting him to keep it funded so we can keep changing things. If you are living a healthy lifestyle for your family, if you are modeling health, they will become healthy.
Right.
When a child is living in a household where the parents are not modeling health or the parents are not modeling faith, what chance do they have to be able to live that lifestyle? Okay, so maybe you haven't been doing this up to this point. Maybe you feel a check on that. Maybe you feel convicted from that. Don't. Just start changing today. Make a great change today. Go eat a healthy meal. Figure out your grocery list for next week. Meet with somebody. Bring your whole family. We've got a family I'm meeting with in 2 weeks on Saturday. I'm meeting with 6 people. All 4 kids are coming in and the parents. These kids range all the way up to 23 years old, all the way down. And they care. They all want to be healthy. They all want to meal prep together. They want to make a life change. It doesn't matter how many things you've done or you feel you've done the wrong way. It doesn't matter if you've parented your kid all the way up to 23 years and they're out of your house now. You can still be a leader to them. You can still guide them into a healthier lifestyle. You wouldn't believe the amount of people that I've witnessed in a 30-year career that have linked other people to a healthy lifestyle, and they are in their 70s.
Right.
And they made the change in their 70s.
Right.
They didn't wait. They didn't say, oh, well, I'm 70. I'm not going to be able to do this anymore. There's not even a chance this is even going to happen.
What a cool
they
story.
Did it.
You did it in your 70s, so someone that's 40 try to tell them you can't do it.
Exactly. Try to tell me you can't do it, right? Try to tell me you can't start with just walking 10 minutes every day after you eat. Try to tell me you can't take the seed oils out. Buy olive oil instead of and avocado oil instead of your canola oil, instead of your processed foods that you're having. Try to tell me you can't go 30 days without sugar, and then when you do, everything changes for you. There are steps that can be taken, and they can be small steps. You can just start climbing a ladder to change, or you can radically rip the Band-Aid off and change. But you can make a change, and when you change, you will change others. For more information on what we do at Integrity Training Systems with a 6-month nutrition program with myself, or a free personal fitness assessment with any of our personal trainers. Take a look at integritytrainingsystems.com or give us a call at 636-299-2208. For gluten-free, dairy-free baked goods delivered to your door from My Personal Bakery, take a look at sophiesbakery.com. And for 100% grass-fed beef, the only meat that the Morris family will eat, take a look at fedfromthefarm.com.
Welcome back, everybody. John and Debbie Morris with Integrity Training Systems on Real Talk 93.3. Just talking before we went into this last break a little bit about just, getting your body in line so that you can help other people, your children, your grandchildren, perhaps other family, friends around you. And, the thing that I like to think about is you can't make other people. I was talking about this to Debbie yesterday. You can't make other people decide to be healthy and well. You can't do it. Because at the end of the day, you don't have more power than God, and God gave everybody free will. So you can't take someone's free will from them, and you need to just give up on that if you think you can.
Tried. I've spent my whole entire career trying.
But here's what I will tell you is you can plant a seed, and we are called in the Bible to do that. So living in front of someone is planting a seed. Having the conversation is planting the seed. Okay, and then whether or not that seed grows, that is up to the free will of that person. But I want to talk a little bit of Bible with you here. And I think so many people get hung up on this idea that the Bible says to not take your body into account and be serious about your body. They say that the Bible is like, okay, well, you need to pay more attention, that like the body is your flesh, right? Like that's what we hear. But the problem is the body isn't an accident, okay? It's not a disposable shell that we're put into. It was actually created with great intent. And when it says that God created us, it says, and he was good, because we were created in God's image. Okay, so I want you to think about that for a minute. We were created in God's image. So something that a lot of people go back to, I'm just going to pull this up for you real quick. This is what people go to when they say, well, the Bible is actually pretty clear on like the body shouldn't be like worshiped. You're right. And they go back to 1 Timothy 4:8, and they say, for while bodily training is of some value, godliness is of value in every way. And so people are trying to say like, oh, well, what it's referencing is that bodily training is worthless. That's not true. It says it's of some value. And the reason I think it puts it at some is because it's also trying to really drive home the point that godliness is of value in every way. So it's not saying you don't train your body. What it's actually saying is that godliness first and then physical training second. Another one that you hear quoted, which is infuriating actually, is 1 Corinthians 6:19-20, right? We all know this. Do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit within you? You are not your own. You were bought with a price, so glorify God in your body. Here's the problem. People will use that, and they'll say your body is a holy temple, and they'll tell you not to get tattoos. They'll tell you not to get piercings. They'll say your body is a holy temple, and so you need to make sure that you're following God with the Holy Spirit inside of you. Yet they're eating themselves into a coma at a buffet. They're, having some kind of eating disorder. They are gluttonously hiding things from their family and consuming them behind closed doors. So you're going to talk about all these other things that your body is a holy temple, but we're going to stay away from the fact that the garbage you're eating is actually of your flesh. I'm going to continue with that. So if I'm feeding my holy temple food, then and I'm working out, then that's for my flesh, right? It can be, but that doesn't mean that it always is, because you're actually commended for the discipline of your body. In 1 Corinthians 9:24, it says, I discipline my body and keep it under control, lest after preaching to others, I myself should be disqualified. Okay, so what's this mean? Well, you're supposed to have self-control, intentional discipline, and your endurance of sacrifice, okay? So when you're saying, well, I need my one glass of wine at night, that's all I need, or, well, I eat clean Monday through Friday, only take Saturday, Sunday off, okay? Well, it's talking about right here about the discipline of your body being commended, okay? Now, God also talks about the Sabbath. He talks about rest and recovery. Well, check this out. If rest and recovery are recommended, what are you doing to require rest and recovery? Well, why do you need rest and recovery? Because you're working. And then we're going to get into the food and drink, okay? Moderation, not excess. This is talked about a lot. Now, I don't think that these Bible verses are telling you to go 80-20. That's not what I believe this means. I believe that everybody's a little different on this, but Proverbs 23:20 says, be not among drunkards or among gluttonous eaters of meat, okay? Are you spending your time around people that are telling you it's just one drink? Are you spending time around people that are telling you it's just one buffet? Well, is it ever really just one? You have to ask yourself that because, if it is, it is. But most times it's not. I find very few people in this industry that don't have more or overconsume more than they should. And then 1 Corinthians 10:31. So whether you eat or drink or whatever you do all to the glory of God. So what you're putting in your body, is it to fuel you? Is it to cause you to be better, a better witness? Or is it for your flesh? That's where it starts to get different. That's where the division is. Are you feeding your flesh or are you feeding your body? Are you working out so that people see your six-pack? Or are you working out to be a better steward of God and be able to do the call and purpose that he has on your life? Because if you look at Proverbs 24:5, a wise man is full of strength and a man of knowledge enhances his might, okay? Strength's praised when it's used righteously, okay? What are you using your strength for? I had a counselor at one point, a psychologist. He's the best I've ever had. I've had so many, and most of them, they just weren't good for me. Let's just say that. We'll put it politely. But he was the first person that didn't try to rewire me. Every other one tried to rewire me. They're like, hey, you need to learn to be peace. You need more yin instead of yang. They, like you want to be more white instead of black, all these things. And basically when you tell me you want me to be calm, it pisses me off. It drives me the other direction. So he says, okay, people have tried to rewire you, right? And it's like, well, yes, people have tried to rewire me. He goes, why? Well, they think I'm too mad or too angry or whatever it may be. And he's like, okay. He goes, well, here's the problem, John. You should be angry. You should be mad. The problem is you're not using it right. It should be righteous anger. I'm like, I don't know what that means. He goes, when you get angry, are you angry with your family? Are you angry with your spouse? Are you angry at your friends? You're angry at your workers? Well, yeah. Well, do you think they're the actual problem? Well, no. Well, then you're attacking the wrong people. You're fighting the wrong fight. You've spent so long building your physical warrior that your spiritual warrior still wears diapers. And that was a kick in the teeth for me. But what he's saying is, I've built this strength. And what he said is, you need to acknowledge what the actual enemy is. What are the demons in your life? What should you actually be aiming at, fighting, and taking on? And if you aim at that, you are going to be like a pinpoint laser nuclear warhead that's going to go off and destroy these mountains that have been put in front of you because God has given you the power to do that. The problem is you're not using your strength righteously. It's not that you have the strength. It's not that you have the rage and the passion and the fullness of this type of energy. It's that you're using it wrong. So the Bible isn't commending me or condemning me for being strong. It's actually commending me for using my strength for the right thing. Psalm 18:32. It is God who equipped me with strength, protection, provision, endurance, readiness for hardship. That's what I'm called to be for my family. And the last thing I want to go into is that the body is meant for service, not self-indulgence. Romans 12:1. Present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship, okay? If you are sick, if you are overweight, if you are unhealthy, if you are not caring for yourself, you will not be able to serve as long as you should. You will not be able to fight temptations of the flesh. You most certainly can't lead, protect, and endure hardship. And when God calls, you are probably not going to be ready to act because you're not going to have the energy for it. And this is a blight on our churches right now. Nobody is standing up on the pulpit and preaching about this. Nobody is sitting out in the audience thinking, you know what, I really need to be healthy. Instead, we're talking about where we're going for lunch right afterwards, 15 minutes before church is over. So I just want to be clear on some things. Whether you're into the Bible or not, if you aren't living your life as healthy as possible, you will never have the fulfillment you are allowed to have.
Well, I don't think that you're ever going to have kind of like a reason. If your spirit man is weak, but your physical man is strong, you look good on the outside, but you're just weak on the inside.
Right.
You're just weak on the inside. And maybe all the pictures and all the photos and everything of you is just like, wow, wow, wow. Wow, I want to look like that. Wow, I want to be like that. You're leading people in that direction, right? They want to be like you, but what would they gain if they could be like you both physically and mentally?
Right.
So if your mental game, your spiritual game was as strong as that physical game, that's the game-changing ingredient. And guess what? When the spiritual game is strong, the physical game
Get
can
stronger.
be it can be maintained.
Yes.
It can be sustained. A lot of times we like to think I am a warrior in the prayer closet. I am a warrior with my Bible. But boy, when you try to get me to stay on a diet, I just can't stick with it.
Yep.
Okay, that's spiritual.
Yep.
That's spiritual
That's
warfare.
an attack. Yeah.
That's an attack. So your flesh is now governing. You're so spiritually strong that your flesh is winning.
Yeah.
When you're making those choices, when you're making those decisions, your flesh is winning. Bind that.
Yep.
Cast that out. Put that underneath you.
Yep.
Put scripture to it. Take all those scriptures that John just said, all of it, every single one of them, and claim them over your situation. Your desire for whatever food, your desire for whatever drink, your inability to walk away from something, your inability to not go to a certain restaurant or to not participate in certain drinks. Bind it. Take the scripture and speak against it. Claim victory over it every day of your life. This is what the warrior mentality is. This is the warrior inside you. The warrior gets up for battle. Even though last night before you went to bed, you probably should have died because your spirit man wasn't strong enough and it's not protecting you, right? But you wake up and you live to fight another day and you get in the word and you declare victory over your life and you declare the word over your life and you stay focused on that positivity and that victory in Jesus. And I'm telling you, that spirit man gets stronger. And in the weakest moments of my body, in the weakest moments where you would look at me and say, Deb, hey, you don't look as strong. Let me tell you, I could take on an army because I have the word of God so present in me that it is like a sword to whatever tries to come against me. But if you're so worried about the body, and you're so worried about keeping it strong. Don't get me wrong. I own a gym, okay? I want you to be concerned about your physical body. I want you to take care of yourself. But if that's it, if that's all you're doing, I've spent 30 years watching people put the weight back on. They're not doing the full picture. They're not
Mind,
committing
body,
to the
spirit.
whole thing. They've got to commit to the mind part as much as they commit to the physical part. I'm so proud of you for getting in the gym. But you've got to buy the groceries. You have to make the choices. You have to make the changes. You have to create the 21-day habits.
Discipline.
You've got to create the discipline. You have to be willing to say no. You have to be willing to walk away. And you have to be willing to stand in front of people that keep telling you to try something and say, I don't want it. I don't need it. And I'm not having it. I know what it does to me and I'm not bringing it in my life. Cast it down. For more information on what we do at Integrity Training Systems with a 6-month nutrition program or a free personal fitness assessment with any of our personal trainers, take a look at integritytrainingsystems.com or give us a call at 636-299-2208. For gluten-free, dairy-free baked goods delivered to your door from my personal bakery, take a look at sophiesbakery.com. And for 100% grass-fed beef, the only meat that the Morris family will eat, take a look at fedfromthefarm.com.
Welcome back, everybody. John and Debbie Morris with Integrity Training Systems on Real Talk 93.3. Right before we went on break, we were just talking about kind of the spiritual warfare side of making sure that your mind, body, and spirit are in the right place. And the Bible is pretty clear that spirit is first, and then I argue that mind is second and body is third. But the thing is, body is there. You know, it's not about feeding the flesh. It's about building the temple, building the body so that you can better do what the mind and spirit call for. Because if your body isn't built and you're not pursuing health, then you're going to tank your mind. Maybe you bring in more anxiety or depression that's needless and isn't actually a chemical imbalance, but one that you're created. Maybe that you're bringing in fatigue or sickness. And here's the thing. People would be like, well, you know, I actually have a condition. I have a genetic problem. I have, you know, these predispositions to health issues. Okay. Yeah, I understand that. But are you also eating fast food? Are you also drinking soda? So many people like, well, you can't say that to a sick person. Of course I can. You know how many people I know that are in wheelchairs that take care of themselves and have a better outlook on life than people who aren't in a wheelchair? Do you know that we have a client that has beaten cancer twice and found a tumor inside of her hip the size of a grapefruit, and it's being eradicated right now because of her faith and her spirit? And her demeanor through the whole thing, because of how healthy she kept herself and how healthy she kept her spirit, was perfect. I mean, there are so many people. I'm not claiming that you're not going to have problems, but what I am claiming is feeding them garbage and not taking care of your body and using an actual like body built-in issue as an excuse is nonsensical. Because you could stand to feel better than you actually do. And what chance do you have to feel okay with or overcome that problem that you're saying is truly there? And those do obviously exist. But how are you going to overcome that if you're exacerbating it with all of these things that you're throwing in on top of that? And we were talking right before the break about the representation of health and the mind, body, spirit. And I was talking about even in church. And what kind of gets me fired up is I don't know Jake Paul's faith. I'm not going to try to claim he is or isn't something. But what I do know is that he is somebody who is followed by a lot of people. And I know that there are plenty of preachers that would love to have the following he has, because at the end of the day, the Bible calls us to be disciples. And if we're going to be disciples of men, how are you going to disciple to someone if they don't want what you have? So if you're healthy and you're well and your energy's high, again, I'm not talking about a six-pack. I'm talking about a healthy body. And people are like, man, I don't understand. You're 40 years old. You're 50 years old. The whites of your eyes are whiter. There's a brightness to you. You always fight to be in a good mood. You're always able to get up and move around well. You're always just, your energy's so good. Like, what is that? And you can glorify the Lord and bring Christ to them while also explaining how you've chosen to keep your mind, body, and spirit strong. That's the connection. That's the end. If we're all lumbering around because we've just gone out to eat a bunch of garbage and we feel like junk, and then the next day our eyes are all milky and we're down and we're anxious and depressed, and you're trying to preach something to someone, why in the world would they want what you have? They're not going to. And you're like, but glory to God, you know, and then you're asking for a blessing over food that's literally killing you. You know, it's like I saw an Instagram meme, and it was a guy and he was praying over a very well-known fast food chain, and he said, you know, Lord, please bless this food for the nourishment of my body. And then it showed like a Jesus with his hands up and like all these question marks around him. Like, what, really? You know, it's like, you want me to bless that? Like, you don't put that in you. You know, it's not something I created for you. That was manufactured in a lab. I gave you fruits and vegetables and meats, and, you know, and so it's like, what are you doing that presents yourself, your health, for the kingdom? And if you're not a Christian, first off, I suggest pursuing that and getting your spirit right. But if you're not a Christian, what are you exhibiting with your health to your kids, to your friends, to your family? This concept of do as I say and not as I do, I think we debunked that years ago. It's nonsensical. If they see that you don't feel well and you're claiming they need to do something, why are they going to follow that? You're untrustworthy. Whether you're trying to help them and get them to do something that's better than you're currently doing, there doesn't appear to be any trust there because they're like, yikes, I don't see you be well. So why would I even want to follow what you tell me to do?
And it just starts with one good decision, one good choice. You wake up and you decide, I'm not going to Starbucks this morning. I'm just going to make my mold-free coffee in my kitchen. And I'm going to put coconut milk in it instead of Coffee Mate creamer. Now, all of a sudden, I've started my day with 50% less toxin, less sugar, less bad fats from the weird oils that are in the creamers. And that one decision might change your brain enough that you may decide to scramble a couple eggs, throw a bowl of strawberries and blueberries together and eat that instead of the Egg McMuffin or the whatever croissant or whatever Danish that you were going to get or muffin you were going to get while you got your Starbucks. Those two decisions could literally be the catalyst to change for the entire rest of the day. Suddenly, when it's time for lunch, you're not famished, you're not ready to pass out, you're not irritable, you're not shaky. You're ready to have a good quality piece of protein with chicken or a hamburger or some steak or maybe turkey breast or maybe some salmon. And then you're ready to have tons of fibrous vegetables, either roasted or sauteed or steamed or a big salad. And then you need some really good fat on top of that, like some olive oil, some avocados, some olives, some pumpkin seeds, some walnuts. And now we have a really well-balanced meal. If you're going to be super active that day, maybe you have some sweet potato or some basmati jasmine rice or some quinoa, and you utilize that starch with all of that activity that you're going to have. And then you don't just try to make it until dinner. In the afternoon, you grab yourself a handful of walnuts. You grab yourself a handful of pistachios. You grab yourself half an apple. You grab yourself some more of those berries. Throw a little bit of collagen into your hot tea that you're making in the afternoon. And you buffer the lunch to dinner, and you get yourself to dinner stronger. And now you go into dinner, and you're not going to be super hungry after dinner because you're going to do the same thing you did at lunch with that very well-balanced meal. You're going to drink a bottle of water with every single meal that you have that day, and that'll be half of your body weight or darn near close in water, and you're going to feel hydrated for the first time in your life. Just that simple decision to wake up and not go to Starbucks, to scramble those eggs, and to have that fruit sets you up for the cascade of all of those changes. That salad for lunch or the meat and the vegetables, the fish and the vegetables, that could be had at a restaurant. It doesn't have to be something you food prepped. The nuts could be picked up real quickly at Walgreens. They could be picked up at a Quick Trip, as long as they're raw and they don't have those bad oils. You could also get the fruit there. You have options, but just those simple changes, simple choices create this cascade of change.
Listen, if you have been with us for this show, I have gone pretty hard on everybody, okay? So if you've made it this far and you're in the final moments with me here, what I want to tell you is I go this hard because I care. All right, I've been there. And if I can overcome it, you can overcome it, okay? It just takes putting one foot in front of the other. You have to make these decisions. Deb just gave phenomenal examples of small changes you can make to your food to already start seeing a difference. If you want to do this, if you're like, wow, those guys get fired up and passionate, and you feel like you need a soldier to go shoulder to shoulder with you, call, because we're in it. We've been there. We'll fight with you. You don't need us. You can implement these things. Do it, because I promise you there is a better life out there than what you're having right now if you aren't caring for your health. Being healthy allows you to open your mind, open your body, and open your spirit to receive and walk around the way that God intended for you to.
Amen. For more information on what we do at the 6-month nutrition program with myself or a free personal fitness assessment, I also have a monthly Q&A subscription that you can join for as low as $19.99 a month right now. 2 Q&As a month with me personally, live videos, and you can go back in the whole library. Take a look at integritytrainingsystems.com or give us a call at 636-299-2208. For gluten-free, dairy-free baked goods delivered to your door from my personal bakery, take a look at sophiesbakery.com. And for 100% grass-fed beef, the only meat that the Morris family will eat, take a look at fedfromthefarm.com. Thank you for listening today, and God bless.